The opinions expressed by the host and guest on this program are solely their own and do not represent the views or opinions of Blind United. We strive to provide diverse perspectives and discussions on our platform, but the opinions expressed should be understood as personal viewpoints and not reflective of Blind United as an organization.
It's time. It's time for
coffee time.
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 And here is your coffee time crew.
And welcome back to Blind United. My goodness, coffee time with Blind United. My bad. Tongue twisted already early. And today in the crew, we got Brittany. Good morning, Britt.
Good morning, everybody.
And we got my brother George to keep us entertained.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Davis. I'm the one that can't enunciate and talk, so it's rubbing off on you already.
Yeah, I'm guilty by association, right?
Right.
So anyway, let's get these interest groups out the way. Today, we actually have a triple header for you. So starting at 2 o'clock, we got Miss Deborah Erickson with The Blind Kitchen. Great show. She got a lot of tips and tricks for working around in the kitchen. She also has quite a few products. She's a vendor. She has her own business. She's also a chef. So she's been doing this for quite a while. And again, she got great tips and tricks and great products that she talks about, things that can help us out in the kitchen and stuff like that. So that will be at 2 o'clock Pacific time. And then at 5 o'clock, we got AI for beginners. And that's going to be with Miss Brittany and Pedro. They'll be doing that at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, just to keep it all straight. And then right behind that, we got Pedro and his technology class. So he goes through a lot of different stuff, the more advanced stuff. So again, that is at 6 o'clock Pacific time. So come on in. I guess if you like what we're doing, we're going to tie up quite a bit of your day today, right? That's 3 hours that we got stuff out there. But any part of it that you feel you want to participate in, everybody's always welcome. And as always, it's always free. So anyway.
Well, Mr. Davis, we have to give you credit. I mean, we're coming toward the end of the year, and, the interest groups are going to take a hiatus in December. But I think I could speak for Brittany on this. Thank you, Mr. Davis, because getting on the computer every day to open those classes is a lot. And like today's those 3 hours, and people don't realize that you're the one who sits there and opens the classes, and we appreciate that. Your dedication to that.
Just doing my part to try to make life better for my community, my brother.
That's one of the things that I've always admired about Mr. Davis. He's always had a lot of love for the blind community, even before we even started Blind United. Just when I was a part of NFB, he's always felt like advocating and making life better for the blind. And I just really admire how you weren't always blind, and you came into this and you embraced it, and you tried to make life better for you and other people in the same situation as you.
No, I didn't think about that. You're right? Because there are people that have been blind since birth, and they're really not really dedicated to improving the lives. They'll sit there and complain. I won't say another word. They'll sit there and complain about, I'm blind. But you know what? Like me, when I went blind, it is what it is. I have to accept it and try to make things better for everyone else. Like you, Miss Britt, So, like I said, then we're coming toward the end of not the copy time, but the interest groups. And I just want to make sure that people understand that, thank you and Britt for their dedication. Because I know, Britt, you're in all those interest groups too. So I want to say thanks from us, from the people that come in here and there in the interest group. So we want to say thank you.
Well, I mean, again, I didn't join this community by choice. I mean, it was by force, but, after, living my life as a father and, provider and all that stuff, and losing my sight and trying to regain my life and regain my independence, and then, being placed within the community. And as I joined the community, I'm okay, cool. This is not as hard as thought it was going to be. Okay, with proper training, I can do this, I can do that. I can do most of what I used to do before I had lost my sight, right? But within that, I mean, just the life experience of, paying attention to the different organizations and going through the system, trying to get the resources you need to become independent again. I just seen that there was a lot of stuff that's just, I don't know, it's just not right, and I played with this organization. I was okay, let me see if I can work with this one. I like their platform, whatever. And okay, well, it's cool, but it's still this, you know what I'm saying? And the other organ, okay, it's cool, but it's that, and I don't know, Blind United, I don't want it to be this or that. I want it to be, you know, an organization for everyday blind folks, just trying to live their best life and, you know, all that good stuff, just seeing the flaws in the system, just trying to create a place, like you say, with our interest groups. I mean, they're all about trying to help folks, whether it's, with their mental status or whatever, and all this stuff. And
So that I'm gonna be honest. When I first was privileged to come on, uh, the interest group component or idea, I'm like, that's dumb. But when I started getting into it, I'm like, wow, this really it helped me a lot, especially with COVID and not being able to go out and whatnot. But and I think this is a good even now. We're kind of COVID's kind of still there, right? But what I'm trying to say is the interest groups, folks, is really neat. I mean, you have different stuff. You have makeup, you have movies, we have technology. There's cooking, and once you start getting into those groups, you start meeting other people, right? I have the privilege of meeting Mr. Rick from Florida, Luis from Indiana or Illinois,
Illinois, Indiana.
Indiana,
Uh,
Lou Thomas from is he from Colorado?
Thomas from Colorado.
Colorado, and it's just so cool, right? It's so cool that we all come to a common point in life where we're blind or visually impaired. Let's go forward and like the cooking stuff, right? And people don't realize that we want to cook, but of course we have to have some safety, or we have to have. I'm sorry, I thought I turned my phone on do not disturb. Sorry about that, folks. So this cool, even like the movies, right? To sit there and listen to movies that audio described. And when I first started hearing, do you watch audio described movies, Britt, or can you see them?
I mean, I love audio described movies. I don't even like watching movies now if it's not audio described. It's not the same to me because I miss so much. There's so many things that you don't see or you don't notice, and it's important to the movie. But I want to say that I'm very thankful for Blind United because it's a safe space. It's a safe space to ask questions where you're not judged because I've been blind my whole life, and a lot of times I've been made to feel like in these different training centers or different organizations that if I don't know something, that I should know something and that I should be the model blind person. And Blind United, everybody here has been non-judgmental. If I ask Pedro or Ed, well, how do I do this with JAWS? How do I do this with the iPhone? Or how do I do this with whatever? Like, you guys don't judge me. You guys just tell me because or they're not just me, but everybody. So it's really great.
And
It
it's a good
really
point you
is.
say, Miss Britt. People could ask they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I asked a dumb question." It's not really a dumb question. It really isn't. It's because it might be dumb to you, but to us, it might be the first time we heard something like, "Oh, wow, really? Okay." So I mean, and when it comes to being sighted to blindness, like me and Mr. Davis, it's a weird how can I say situation. We come in like, okay, well, how am I going to do this, right? But again, folks, the interest groups that we help you through that process, and like Mr. Davis and Ms. Britt always say, because I'm out on the show all the time, but they say if you have an idea about an interest group, reach out to info@blindunited.com or .org and give us an idea. If you think, oh, my people might like, I don't know, personal hygiene classes or something,
Well, I mean, and it's people are laughing right now. Personal hygiene. You would not realize, that was another thing, but you would not realize how many blind folks are out there that their parents totally sheltered them.
Mm-hmm.
And now they become adults and, they don't even know how to take care of themselves, because their parents didn't do, they thought they were protecting their child. So I don't want to make it like it was a bad thing, but in essence it was because they enabled their child from having those learning experiences and that independence, and so on and so forth. So I mean, again, that's what we do. Interest groups are all about what you're interested in. I mean, chances are, if you're interested in it, there's more people that are interested in it than just you. So, hey, we'll start a group on it and see how it works out. If it works
And,
out, cool. If not, okay, we take it off the schedule and wait on the next one.
and to your point, Mr. David. Oh, by the way, Miss Paula Collard, she's watching here from El Paso. Hi, ma'am. How you doing?
Hello,
Uh,
Paula.
so what you just said about the personal hygiene, some people are like, what? And I'll tell you a story I've told several times just to make a point. A young man I met when he was young. He was like, when I first met him, maybe 10, 11, he was young. So years go by and I see him. This is one I can still see. And I see him. Now he has, he's an 18-year-old, 17-year-old, a little goatee. Oh, cool. So I'm walking towards him and I see his mom feeding him, like literally feeding the spoon in his mouth. And so in my head, I'm like, ooh, he must have had a stroke or something else happened, right? So I walk up and I see his mom, and I kind of like, I talk to her like, "Hey, how's he doing? And what happened to, what's his name? I'm not going to say his name. She was, nothing. I'm like, and I go, why are you feeding him? Oh, George, because he's blind. And I thought she was joking at first. I'm like, it didn't click. I'm like, what? And then I go, why are you? But that's what Mr. Davis means. They think they're helping him, but what happens when she passes or something happens to her? What happens to him? And just by happenstance, several years later after that, I was asking around how she was doing, how because we've known her for many years, and we find out that she went blind from diabetes. So now
Wow.
what? Right? So now what's the plan?
That's crazy. Deborah from the Blind Kitchen said good morning. So good morning, Deborah, and thank you
Good
for
morning, Deborah.
watching. I have a lot to say about what you said, George. I think that a lot of family members of blind people, they think, well, if I die, well, then their siblings will take care of them, or my sister, or my brother, or my whoever. And that's not fair to those other family members. And I think sometimes too, there are a lot of programs for blind children where it's like, okay, you want to know how your blind child interacts or does things, okay, we're going to blindfold you and have you eat. And of course, instead of teaching, that teaches the parent, oh crap, my blind child's life is really scary, so I'm going to try to like prevent them from doing things because I was scared, or it was hard for me to eat blindfolded, so it's hard for them, but they don't realize, oh, your child is going to learn alternative techniques.
Yep.
That's all it is. Alternative techniques.
Yep.
Again, I've in my journey through this, I've met folks that I'm sorry to say they didn't know how to take care of themselves. They didn't know how to
Mm-hmm.
brush their teeth. They didn't know how to comb their hair. They didn't know how to get their clothes. Again, we have one child. I'm calling him a child because he was young at the time. He was 18, 19 years old. His parents moved him into the dorm and put his clothes and stuff away from him. And an incident happened, and he was walking down the hallway naked. And
Oh
I
wow.
mean, so we gathered him up and got him back in his room. And it was, at later when I was talking with him, I was, well, this, that, and what. I mean, he didn't take his clothes into the bathroom with him because he didn't want them to get wet when he turned the shower on.
Oh Lord. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's just that people might say that, wow, really? And it's true. I've seen it myself. You're right, Mr. Davis, that
Yeah.
common sense stuff you do think, but and I'm glad Miss Barbara's watching because a good friend of ours, Mr. Bautista, he loves her products. I mean, he just like because he's
Well,
with
you're talking
cookies
about
and
Deborah.
Deborah. I'm sorry, yeah,
Miss Erica, Deborah Erickson in the Blind Kitchen.
yeah,
But
I'm sorry, I said the wrong name. And Mr. Bautista, just loves her products because he's a guy. Mr. Bautista's been cooking. Whew, I mean, even when he went blind, he cooks steaks and this and that. But he said he called me up and he told me that he ordered something new or something. And but it was funny. The reason I'm laughing, he's in his 70s, but he's talking to me like a little kid. Like, I bought this new toy, and which is cool.
He's
That's the
so
cool part about
excited.
it. That's the cool thing about it.
But what people don't realize, what he's excited about is now he has something adaptive to help him through preparing something that he truly likes to prepare.
Yep. And like me yesterday, Mr. David, when I went to Walmart, me and my wife, and she, her normal technique is she saw something, babe, hold on, I'll be right back. And normally I was just okay and whatever. So yesterday I had my glasses. I turned around the bakery just by happenstance. So I called Be My Eyes, and I got the lady to help me with blueberry muffins and put them in the cart. And as we're going down the aisle, I go, babe, I put some blueberry muffins. She goes, really? Oh yeah. I'm like, because the glasses, I don't need you no more. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying, I
Got a
was
new
joking, of
toy.
course. But the thing is, like Mr. Davis says, that independence, right? The independence that we lose or we try to regain, and or even enhance, right? Even though we're
Right.
low partial or high partial, but we might before, let's say we couldn't see this, but now we can. And when I say see, folks, and I've had two people already ask me, you can see. I go, no, no, no. When I say see, the best way I can say is interpret or recognize what I'm looking at. Is a text or if it's a picture or whatnot, But techniques and technology, Mr. Davis, I think is really going to make us have a better life, you know, more
Well, on
independent
that
life,
note,
anyways.
we're going to jump into this article that
Wait! Before you do that, Deborah from the Blind Kitchen said, "Where there's a will, there's a way." So, and thank you, Mr. Bautista, for buying her products.
So we're going to jump into this, and it kind of helps explain some of the barriers that our blind students face trying to get a degree. So let's be right back.
Today on Coffee Time, we're exploring the hurdles blind and visually impaired, BVI, college students face, and the efforts needed to improve their academic success. 1. Inaccessible materials and technology ***. Many educational materials remain unavailable in accessible formats, leaving BVI students at a disadvantage. The lack of assistive technologies, such as screen readers and braille displays, further compounds this issue, as not all institutions provide the necessary resources or training. 2. Insufficient support services ***. Robust disability services are critical for ensuring equitable opportunities, yet many colleges fall short. Without proper accommodations, students often struggle to thrive academically. 3. Social isolation and its impact ***. BVI students frequently report feelings of social isolation, affecting both their mental health and academic performance. Building an inclusive campus culture is vital to counter this. 4. Pathways to success ***. Research shows that self-advocacy skills, access to assistive technology, and strong support services significantly enhance academic outcomes. Colleges must prioritize accessibility and inclusion to close the achievement gap for BVI students. How can institutions create more inclusive environments for BVI students? Share your ideas in the comments. Now, back to the Coffee Time crew.
All right. Well, I mean,
Mr.
again,
Davis, before we start, Mr. Aaron Richmond is watching also. Hello.
good morning, Aaron. Yes, he has his own podcast out there as well. So, good morning, Aaron. First time joining in. Well, at least first time commenting. I appreciate you coming in, my brother. So, again, this is a big issue. I mean, it's so hard for these students. I mean, Britt, she's got more experience than I do in this area because I mean, again, I've never tried to go to college since I lost my sight, but I've known plenty of students. Matter of fact, we give out scholarships to students that are going to school. So, I mean, again, it's Britt. Why don't you explain? It's a little better if you explain it because you experienced it.
Well, I that article said a lot, and maybe George can back me up. it's a whole bunch of different factors that go into this. Like I was just thinking, like, okay, in regards to accessibility, like I went to Cal State LA and they had JAWS on all the computers in the computer lab. But let's just say you have to go to a computer lab and okay, there's JAWS on the computer, but there's no sound card on the computer. Like it's just crazy stuff that you wouldn't even think of. Or just like, okay, let's say you have a class and you have to read an article, and the professor puts the article online and they scan it from a book, and it's a PDF and it's a blurry PDF. So of course your screen reader is not going to pick that up. And it's such a bad copy of the PDF that somebody in the disability center has to retype the article for you, and that could take a week or two, or and by that time, like, the class has moved on. There's so many different things, so many different issues, or having inaccessible software. Like, okay, I got to take this test, but I can't take the test because the software that I have to use, or the website that I have to use to take this test, my screen reader doesn't work. So then I have to find somebody who's sighted, who's willing to read me the test. But then, like, if I use a family member or a friend, I have to do it on their time or whatever. I may miss the deadline, and there's just so many different issues when you're a blind student.
And it's
And I
true because like
don't know.
what you said, Ms. Britt, is like here in El Paso. What you just said exactly what I experienced when I was going to UTEP is, you don't have the information in real time, like you just said, right, Ms. Britt? The professor might put read this article and come back in class, and we're like, oh crap. First of all, let's say the website is not accessible, or even the I guess you want to call it the portal. Like, for example, oh, go to the chalkboard. I put an assignment on there. And I'm like, okay. So when I went to the chalkboard, the digital chalkboard, I couldn't find it. I'm like, it was there, but I couldn't, the JAWS wasn't picking it up. So you lose a lot of momentum, and I think that's what where the mental health aspect comes into it, because you're like, everyone's on subject H, and I'm barely on subject B, right? And like for my instance, my history class, the professor, all he did for tests were book reports. That's all he did. And for me, the books were not accessible. Yeah, I could, like you said, Miss Britt, I'll get them 2-3 weeks later. And so when I asked the professor, I'm falling behind, sir. He goes, don't worry about it. Just make me a midterm report, and we're good. But see, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take it
Right.
easy, right? I'm like, no, sir. I want to do what everyone else does. So I kind of got sad, and you know what? It's school really worth it because I'm falling so behind. So yeah, Miss Britt, I see what you're experiencing, and hopefully now with AI and all this new
I
stuff.
mean, hopefully it's better. And I know when I was a college student, it's frustrating too, because this is something that we talk about all the time here on Coffee Time. Not all blind people have the same skill sets in regards to technology
Mhm.
or how they process information. And a lot of times when you go to the disability center, they were like, well, so and so blind person uses JAWS, and they use NVDA, and they use Narrator, and they use a Mac. If it doesn't work, if Blackboard doesn't work on Safari, then use Google Chrome or use Edge. Like, use whatever. Oh, well, if it doesn't work, you just have to keep playing with it. And not everybody has the time or the skill set to do that. Or, like, let's just say you're the type of person who likes everything in Braille, where they're going to be like, well, we don't have the resources to give you that. Well, this other person likes everything in audio, and it's like, well, that's not me. Well, just because they like that doesn't mean that I want that, and it's so frustrating.
You're right, Miss Britt.
So, George, I'm sorry, but
Good.
I want to touch on another aspect of this. I think it was a little bit of it in the article, but I know that you guys, neither one of you guys mentioned it. So, Britt, I want to ask this question: when you're going through this process, right, and you're not able to get your material, you're not able to get your assignments turned in and all this kind of stuff on time, what does that do to your self-esteem?
Oh, it totally obliterated my self-esteem. I mean, college really, I mean, let's just put it this way. In high school, I was a straight A student, honor roll. I was literally like top 100 because I had everything. I could possibly need. I had everything. I had everything in Braille, audio, whatever the heck I needed. And in college, I didn't have that. And I didn't know how to deal with it. And, sometimes I had to drop out. Sometimes I failed classes. Sometimes I had professors who were like, I don't want this person in my class because they're blind. And it totally wrecked me as a person. I'm going to be honest. It really did.
It's like me.
And
I was top 10% of my class when I graduated. Yes, I was. People don't believe that. And when I went to college, my grades started slipping, and my family was like, "What's gone? What's wrong?" I'm like, "It's like you said, Miss Britt. The information I need to get a hold of is not accessible, because they don't understand, right? They just think, oh, just get to the book, open it, and read it. Yeah, but when you have to depend someone to either type it out or in my case, they would even like literally, talk into the recorder and give it to you. But I had to wait. So what happens is I'm sitting there and then, like, as it is, you, Miss Britt, you could probably touch on this too. Growing up with a visual disability, like I grew up with real thick glasses, so I always felt isolated. I always felt that I was segregated. And and I'm not trying to make it, a little sad song here. I'm just telling my experience. So you grow up as I felt like, at parties, you sit in the corner because everyone else, all the cool people are over there. And so when you go into college, you're like, maybe it's going to change now. Right. I left all the people in high school and I'm going to go in college now. But then it's the same thing almost. You're behind, you're falling behind. And people like, I felt were, oh, you're blind. Let me help you. And that hits you, your self-confidence. It really does.
and once your self-esteem is destroyed, I mean, it could possibly ruin the rest of your life because now you don't have, the courage, the motivation to try to do anything else because you have the opinion that it's going to turn out the same way. You know,
Now, was that? Well, and let me say this real quick. So I'm going, and I'm not sure if it's the same for Miss Britt. When I was younger, yes, I would say that. But now, when we grow up, we get older, we mature, our brain process is different. Now, now my process is different. Now I'm like, you know what? That didn't work for me. Oh well, I'll go try something else. But back then, you're right, Mr. Davis. I'm like, wow, this is how it's going to be for me if I try to go to work, or this is how it's going to be when I try to. So yeah, it does impact you as a young person. But as you get older and mature, you learn. You know what? Not everything fits me. Not every, like Miss Britt says, and I wanted to mention this. If something works for me, it's not going to work for Mr. Davis or Miss Britt. If it works for Miss Britt, it's like I said, we all have different skill set, right? I might be good in Adobe, Mr. Davis might be good in Word, and Miss Britt might be good in whatever in Excel. But so you can't apply that. Oh well, Mr. Davis did it. Why can't you? Yeah, but it's different. It's not the same thing.
right, right. I mean, we're all on different
But
levels
then
when it comes
that's
to this
how a
stuff.
lot of people see us, though. And I think that was the discouraging thing about being in college, too, because it was like, well, this other blind person was able to do this, or this other blind person was able to do that, or like, okay, so for an example, I wanted to teach, right? So a lot of the I took the CBEST, passed that. CSET, like, okay, so a lot of the material to study for that test weren't accessible. And so I told my rehab counselor, I told everybody, and they're like, well, this other blind person passed it. And then I was like, okay, cool. Well, get me in contact with that other blind person. And they did. And then come to find out that blind person had their parents reading them the study material. That didn't work for me. Both of my parents work.
Right,
So
right.
it's just really like you can't even compare other people's situations.
It's like saying this, Miss Britt. Like, well, I'll bring Pedro into this, even though he's not here. And like they say, oh, Pedro did it. That man is like, well, with technology, he knows about scripts, and when he starts talking about to me about technology, I'm like, what? And I thought I was good with technology, right? But vice versa, if I talk to Mr. Davis, me and him kind of have the same idea about technology, right? But when we talk to Pedro, it's totally different. But like you said, the mindset, the skill set is
The skill
totally
set,
different.
the
Totally
skill
different.
set. But the main thing that it reinforces is the fact that going through grade school, K through 12, I guess we want to call it, right? You need to make sure that these students are totally knowledgeable about assistive technology so that they are prepared when they leave high school for entering the world of higher education. And, not only that, but again, making sure that once a blind, visually impaired student does enroll in your college, whatever college it may be, I don't care which one it is, Princeton, whatever, even in the junior college, I'm sorry, you need to make sure that every piece of your educational material, your course material, is accessible to these students. It's just that simple.
It's funny you say that, Mr. Davis, and it's just my opinion, folks. Just my personal. Anyone watching from El Paso, I honestly feel the community college did a lot better job than the university when it came to accessibility. I don't know, maybe because of a smaller scale per campus, but I just felt the response was quicker. I have issues with my academic counselor. Can I talk to him? It's a lot quicker response. So to me, the community college level, I thought it was a lot better than it. Granted, it could have changed by now, but at the end of the day, is it fair? And I know hypothetical here, but is it fair for me to fall behind just because I'm blind? No, it's not. But that's the way life is, right? And I'm talking to those students who are blind or visually impaired.
Well, let me just go here, George. I don't mean to cut you off. That's the way life is when you're not prepared.
That's what I'm going to say. I was just about to say that. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to talk to you as Miss Britt could probably, provide more insight on this. If something doesn't work for you guys, don't give up. It's if JAWS doesn't work for you or whatever the situation, don't stop. If the barrier is there, and I'm telling from my experience, I was young, and I'm like, you know what? I don't need this. I left. I was dumb. I should have stuck to it. I would have had my BA by now. But the point is, don't give up. I'm telling from experience, and probably Ms. Britt would tell you when it comes to school, if something doesn't work for you, try something else. All right, don't give up. Talk to your counselor.
I agree, and I disagree. I don't know. I feel like so many conflicting feelings about this because I first want to say that a lot of people, I'm so thankful for my TVI because a lot of people didn't have good TVIs. My TVI made sure I knew how to use JAWS before I graduated.
Can you tell people this? Because I've had somebody ask me that. What is that?
A teacher for the visually impaired. My teacher for the visually impaired, she was like, your vision's horrible. You need to learn Braille. You need to learn how to use a cane. She was in my butt about it. Honestly, like I did not like her growing up. But when I, became an adult, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful that this woman was in my butt forcing me to learn these blindness skills because I'm realizing that a lot of people didn't learn JAWS in high school or junior high or didn't learn Braille or didn't learn how to do whatever. And those things are so important when you get to college, or even if you don't go to college, those things are so, so important. So I'm so thankful for that. And I agree, George, you shouldn't give up, but I get why people do because
it's discouraging.
It's so discouraging. I mean, you're like, okay, rehab's not giving me the equipment that I need. And then people are just like, well, go to the computer lab at school. But there's only one computer in the whole school that has JAWS on it. And that computer, I don't know, the speaker's broken or there's no sound card or it's a really, really old version of JAWS that hasn't been updated or whatever.
But Ms. Britt, you're correct about that. The computer lab, right? When I was going to school, I used large print or Zoom text. And no time, or a computer lab, which was within the Center for Disabilities. Oh, you go there, but it's only open from 8 to 5. So I'm like, oh man, how about if I want to go in the afternoon or in the evenings? And then not only that, guess what? I don't drive, so I had to take a bus. So you're right, people don't realize there's other barriers to that.
So, well, again, I guess everybody listening in can tell. There's a lot of issues for, young students trying to go through and get a degree so that they're not dependent upon the system for the rest of their life. They can get out there and actually get a job and work their way through.
Do you want to go further, Mr. Davis?
Not really. I
Want to
mean,
go
I think
further?
we could. I mean, I think we can actually take this one all the way through the rest of the hour. So let
Well,
me
I'll
let
just
me
mention this. I'll just mention that just to, well, just
well let
if
me
you
let
want
me
to.
play this break and then we'll
Okay.
pick it back up on the other side.
If you'd like to know more about Blind United, you can visit our website at blindunited.org. You can email us at info@blindunited.org. You can call us at 909-846-8825. You can follow us on Instagram at Blind United Interest Groups. You can follow us on X at Blind United 22. You can watch our YouTube channel, Blind United. You could join our Facebook group, Blind United Interest Groups, or you can follow our Facebook page, Blind United. You can go to customcane.com. That's custom with a K, guys. And what Custom Cane does is they sell cane and cane accessories. It's like Burger King. You can have it your way. You can get a pink cane, a blue cane, a rainbow cane, a Broncos cane, a Chargers cane, a cane with the Braille alphabet, a cane with your name on it. Whatever you want, whatever type of handle you want, whatever type of tip you want. If you want an aircraft aluminum cane, if you want an all-terrain cane, telescoping cane, any type of cane, Custom Cane has it.
All right. Well, so let's do this, George. Let's go around and let everybody make a final comment about this because we do have two other articles I want to get through before the end of the show. So I'll let you go first, George.
No, just to want to make a point. It's not really just to put it into my conversation. Is I just want to make sure people understand that going from school to high school to college to the workplace or anything in life. I want to say this: the biggest barrier that we have, anyone with a disability, from blindness to whatever, is perception. So I could get a master's in business, but they're still going to hold that blindness against me. I just wanted to say that just to make sure that people understand that. But well, you have a BA in this. Why can't you get a job? Seriously, it's not that easy.
There's a perception of blind folks.
It's like me when I was unemployed. People like, oh, Kmart's hiring or Walmart's hiring or McDonald's. And I'm like, yeah, I could go apply. Doesn't mean I'm going to get a job. So just my thought on that.
And you got anything on closing on that one, Brett?
Deborah said that this is an important conversation, and I have a question for Mr. Zavala. My question is, okay, as a blind person, what the F do you do? Because, okay, you're right. I can't work at McDonald's. I mean, I guess I could, but I can't work at Kmart, Walmart. A lot of those places are not willing to hire me. So they tell you, okay, go to college, go to college, go to college. That's really the only thing you can do, right? And then you can get a job after. But then the statistics of blind people actually graduating from college are so low. Or let's just say, as a blind person, it takes you, I don't know, instead of 4 years to get through college, it takes you 10 years. And then you don't have any work experience. As a blind person, what do? How do you how do you play the game?
And that's what I'm saying. Exactly like me. If I was sighted, I could go paint a house or cut yards to make money. If I really had to. And like me and you, Miss Britt, if we want to get a job, we're dependent on the system. What I mean, the system, the state agencies, and they're very limited. But if we go and try to apply for a Walmart job, right away they're like, how are you going to do this? Well, how are you going to read the papers or how? So we're at a bad point to start with, right? When they see us with our dog or a cane. So that's a very good question. What do we do? Either be self-employed or I don't know.
Prepare yourself. That for me. That's the key. You got to prepare yourself. So
well, how do you, Mr. Davis? How do you prepare yourself?
Exactly.
I get really. Me personally, I know that you, Mr. Davis, you, Mr. Zavala, rehab counselors that I've had, even Greg, never give up, prepare yourself. Sometimes there are days when I feel really discouraged and you might as well tell me, well, you should go to the moon, Brittany. It'll be better. That's literally what it feels like.
No, I hear your frustrations because coming from my perspective, I had a wife and a home, and when I lost my job because the contract expired, no matter what I prepared for, it's not going to help me. It's not going to help me find a job. It's not going to help me. Yeah, I might have all this experience, all this employment experience, but that doesn't matter sometimes. When I walk into a place, they see me and I'm blind, and until they read my resume, oh, you worked here. Oh, you worked there. They sound surprised, but it doesn't matter. It just the point is when you're at that point where what the heck do I do to make money? Because Social Security, folks, I'm sorry, you
So,
can't live off of Social Security. Food
so let
stamps,
me let me
you
get
can't.
into how I would say you prepare somebody coming from the sighted world, right, into the blind community. And what I see is number one, something I had to do myself. I had to immerse myself in the community. I had to pay attention to the people around me within the community and what the how they were doing things. So when I say prepare yourself, ask others, ask those that have already succeeded. You know what I'm saying? Okay, what should I do to prepare myself for college? Okay, well, this is how I navigated, Blackboard or Whiteboard or whatever it was called, whatever these different platforms these colleges have, right? How did you got to prepare yourself by learning how to use the assistive technology, the screen readers, the braille notes, so whatever, all this different kind of stuff. You prep yourself by doing everything you possibly can to learn what you need to have in your toolbox when you get to college. And the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more knowledge you have in your toolbox, the better off you're going to be. And the better the chance you will have on succeeding and getting the degrees that you want.
But see, I agree and disagree with you, Mr. Davis. I don't want to go too much. I know you have other articles. Is that yeah? You
I
could
just want to let everybody know we're going to run over today because I want to get these articles in. So
okay.
go ahead and finish
Um,
up.
and I'm sorry, my phone is on do not disturb and it keeps ringing. So I don't know why it's doing that. I'm sorry, folks. Um, I
We
lost
don't
my.
hear it.
Okay. Um, the thing I've learned, Mr. Davis, just so people can know, when it comes to I'm talking about employment, not the school part. Okay, is when you're blind and visually impaired, is two different discussions. What I mean by that is a call center. Oh, our call center, like I almost said the name of the call center. So we're accessible. So I go in there to apply, and here you are, George. Here's the computer, and then I sit there and I'm like, wait a minute, it has Zoom text. I don't use Zoom text. I use JAWS. What is that? Uh-oh, that's not a good question when they say what is that. So what I'm saying is yes, it's good to prepare, which Mr. Davis, that's a very good point. But when you try to apply your knowledge or skills to the real world, unfortunately, a lot of the stuff is not accessible, right? So what I mean by computer wise, like work environments, the portals, stuff like that. That's what I meant to say. But what you're saying is perfect. Prepare yourself, absolutely. But
Well, I
you
mean,
have
at the same time, when you apply to a specific college, right? Part of that preparation is, okay, look, do you guys have this stuff available? You know what I'm saying? Oh, you don't do textbooks for us? Okay, I need to check and see into another college because I need my textbooks when I need my textbooks because I need to keep up with my class.
But the
When
the
you're going and
screwed up
applying
thing
for,
about that, Ed, is a lot of colleges aren't going to admit, oh yeah, you know what? We've never had a blind student anymore. We don't know what to do with you. They're going to say, yeah, yeah, yeah. We have all those things. We have a disabled center. We have all that. And then when you get there, they're like, oh shoot, this is way more than I thought it was going to be.
well, I
You
mean,
know,
I get that. I mean, I get it, but how can I say this? It's number one, you have to be very, very resilient. You have to be, determined. You have to be a self advocate. I mean, that was the number one thing that I take away from training center is I had to be my own best self advocate because even within the system and my DOR counselor, he's trying to guide me in a direction to where he can close my case as soon as possible. And I'm trying to guide this stuff in a direction to where I'm going to be able to sustain an income for my family, right? So when all of these things, whether it's that or whether it's a school or whatever, you have to know how to advocate for yourself. You need to know how to, you know what, they're saying they got it, all this stuff. Let me go visit this school. Okay, show me what you got. You know what I'm saying?
100%. But you're right. You are so right, Mr. Davis. Self
No,
advocacy
I
is
agree with
very
you.
important.
I
Yes, sir.
agree. It's just like a lot of times, like let's say you visit a school, right? And they're like, oh, look, we have a Braille embosser here. So if you ever need anything in Braille, you know, there's somebody to print it out for you. And then when you get to that school, they're like, oh, well, we don't know how to use this
That
Braille
part right
embosser.
there.
We
And
just
that's why I
bought it.
say,
It looks good, you know?
right, and it looks good in their financials and whatever, but again, okay, show me what you got. Okay, when I need this stuff in boss, who do I need to speak to? Who's the one that knows how to do this, and what do they call it, Duxbury, whatever it is, the the coding for embossing and stuff. I know people say, oh, what is Duxbury? But bottom line, all this stuff has different technology tied to
Mr.
it.
Davis, I didn't think about what you just said, Ms. Bird. You're right, which I experienced when I was going to school. They had a computer lab in the center, but they also had computer labs, in the other department like sociology and whatnot. So I would go to the sociology lab, and yet they had one with JAWS and Zoom text. Something's there, and I was in the JAWS pros, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? So I called the attendant. The young lady came. She's like, I go, ma'am. She said, well, I don't know how to do this. Richard's not here right now. I'm like, okay, so I guess I have to leave, I guess,
So anyway, there's a lot of work to be done in that area. So again, we'll probably be revisiting now that I know this is such a hot topic.
But you know what? I'm glad that Miss
comment
Yes.
from we have another comment from the Blind Kitchen. That's Deborah. So she said that state agencies will give you job coaches and wages and insurance until you can get your foot in the door. But I don't know. I mean, I agree and disagree with that. There are resources out there. It is up to you to utilize those resources. But a lot of times it's, do I have a good counselor? Do I have a counselor that I get along with? Does my counselor even have faith that I can do whatever?
Well, in my case, Ms. Britt, when I got my job at the Department of Labor, they sent me a job coach, right? So I'm sitting there with my Zoom text, and then I'm maximizing it, and this guy kept telling me, "Oh no, you have to maximize it." So he kept telling us, I'm like, I'm just curious. So I turned towards him. I go, I'm curious. Are you visually impaired? He goes, no. No wonder. I'm like, okay, now I understand why we're having so much conflict. And I go, you know what? I'm going to get someone else. I'm sorry. I'm not nothing towards you, sir, but you're not getting what I'm trying to say.
If you
And
don't
sure enough,
understand the technology that I have to use, then
exactly.
you're of no use to me.
And they sent me another young lady, another job coach, and man, she was good because she was blind.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's move on so we can move on to some of this other stuff. I promise you guys we will revisit some of this stuff. Maybe we can bring in some current students just so you can get an idea of what the current students are facing when they're coming through their system. So we're going to move on to this next auto, and this is about some advancements in robotics. So just trying to bring some new, fresh technology to what we're doing and see what you think about this.
Let's dive into the latest developments in robotics and how they're transforming industries while enhancing accessibility. 1. Morphing wheels for mobility ***. Inspired by water droplets, researchers at Kim have created morphing wheels that adapt between solid and fluid states, enabling robots to navigate difficult terrains. This technology could revolutionize mobility aids like wheelchairs and unmanned delivery robots, offering greater independence to individuals with mobility challenges. 2. Humanoid robots with water-powered muscles ***. Clone Robotics has developed humanoid robots with water-powered muscles that replicate human movements. These robots could streamline assembly line tasks without requiring major changes to existing processes, increasing efficiency in manufacturing. 3. AI meets physical robotics ***. San Francisco-based startup Physical Intelligence is integrating advanced AI with robotics to achieve human-like dexterity. By training AI models using large-scale data, these robots could perform intricate tasks in industries such as healthcare, logistics, and manufacturing, improving both speed and accuracy. These advancements in robotics showcase their potential to enhance accessibility and efficiency across various sectors. What role do you see robots playing in the future? Let us know in the comments. Now, back to the coffee time crew.
All I can say is, man, science is, they out there. How are you going to take a rubber tire and make it go from a solid to a liquid? And I still don't understand what has that got to do with anything.
I hear you. By the way, Miss Monica's watching, and the Miss first time, I think Brenda Paz. I hope I'm saying your name correctly.
Okay, well, welcome, Monica and Miss Brenda. Welcome.
But robotics, Mr. David, the second when my wife had surgery, the doctor walks in. He's like, "Oh, and by the way, it could be robotic." I'm like, "What? Like the dogs do?" I'm like, "What? What?" And my wife's like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Yeah, a robot goes in there, to the arm." And so I'm like, "Wow, that's pretty neat." And I think they say, I think one time we talked about this, Mr. Davis. You said that's even safer that way.
Yes, because there's less of a intrusion into the body where they make a small incision for the robotic probe per se, versus a large incision so they can get their big hands in there.
True, that's right.
So less chance for infection. Faster healing time, all this other kind of stuff. And a lot of people don't realize that robotics have actually been being used in the medical field for a long time. When you first started hearing talk about, well, let's go here, George. When's the first time you heard about like orthoscopic surgery for somebody's knee?
It's been a year. It's been 10 years, at least 15 years.
Okay.
I've heard of that. Yes, sir.
Okay. And the back, where they go in and do the orthoscopic on the back.
You're right. You're right. Yes, sir.
All that stuff is orthoscopic, is robotic.
You're right.
I mean, they're basically putting a probe in there that's got these little arms on it and whatever, and they're looking at it through a camera, and they're sitting there like they're playing a video game with a joystick.
Oh, I was seeing that. I real quick, Mr. Davis. Funny you mentioned that. There is a doctor I follow on YouTube. He actually he's a brain surgeon, and he actually recommends to his friends that they play video games because he says his trigger response is increased when he's operating because of the when he plays the games.
Right.
Well, it really helps playing the games for surgeons.
Right. I mean, and not only that, I mean, let's go here. I mean, look at all of the new stuff and, with drones and stuff like that, I mean, who was it? One of the young William or the other one? What's the other one's name? I can't remember. Princess Di's kids.
Henry.
Okay, William and Henry. I forget which one of them was, but it's part of their thing in their country. They have to serve in the military and all that kind of
Henry.
stuff. And so bottom line, they kept him behind the lines, and he did drones.
Yep.
So for him, it was basically sit there in front of a TV screen all day, but places like playing video games, So, but there's a lot of advancements and stuff going on. Man, something else that caught my attention in there. Do you hear what he said about inventing a robot that had water muscles?
Yeah, that's I don't know, man.
That sounds like a straight up science fiction movie to me.
Remember that movie? What was that movie? Terminator, with all those little things walking around.
Yeah. So, but again, I mean, I just seen a couple things on robotics and stuff the other day, and I said, you know what? Let me do a little research and find some latest technologies out there, and this is what I found.
But you know what, Mr. Real quick, I just want for those new people that are watching, like Miss Brenda. I'm glad you're tuning in because this is the kind of stuff that we touch on, a variety of stuff, from technology to blind issues to whatever. And so come on in if you have a question or comment, leave it in the comments. Miss Britt's real good at reading them because I can't read, so she does that.
Right. He can't read. On that note, Britt, we got anything else before I move on to the next one?
Nope, you can move on to the next one.
All right. Well, this one here has something to do with LA and the 28 Summer Games coming to Los Angeles.
Countdown to LA 28. Exciting updates for the 2028 Summer Olympics ***. Today, we're looking ahead to the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles and how the city is preparing to host a world-class event. 1. Sustainable and iconic venues ***. LA28 will utilize existing venues to reduce costs and promote sustainability. Highlights include Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum undergoing a $100 million renovation for track and field events. SoFi Stadium hosting both swimming events and the opening/closing ceremonies. Intuit Dome, the new Clippers arena, set to host basketball competitions. 1. Sustainable and iconic venues ***. 2. Transportation upgrades ***. To tackle LA's infamous traffic, the city is expanding metro rail lines and launching a car-free initiative. Over 3,000 buses will provide efficient transport between venues, making it easier for spectators to navigate the city. 3. Security and sustainability ***. Federal support ensures robust security measures, while a commitment to sustainability means the Games will leave a lasting legacy. Investments in infrastructure and transportation aim to benefit Angelenos long after the Olympic flame is extinguished. The LA28 Olympics promise to be a celebration of innovation and sustainability. What excites you most about the Games? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now, back to the Coffee Time crew.
Well, I mean, I got questions. Of course, SoFi, a football stadium, is going to host the swimming events. So does that mean they're going to build a swimming pool?
I wouldn't doubt it.
I mean, but again, when is that swimming pool going to be used again?
They're not. I'm telling you, like they did in Brazil. They built all those stadiums, and when they left Brazil, boom, all those. Even I think they had an issue in Greece. I think they built all these facilities and just leave it there.
Well, I mean, but again, SoFi is there. It's the brand new stadium here in Inglewood. Yeah, that's the Rams and the Chargers.
That's right. That's right. You have a.
You
guys have two football teams. Excuse me.
But again, you're saying you're doing things to save money, according to the article, right? But what are you going to do with that pool when it's over with? To me, if it's not going to be used, then it's a waste of money. I mean, let me go here. I mean, the Memorial Coliseum, the Memorial Coliseum's got to be saying it's been here my entire life, and I'm 67 years old.
I'm surprised they have Coliseum before you're born. Anyways, yeah, I hear you.
It's gone through many, many, many renovations over the years, right?
Which is the one in Pasadena, Mr. Davis? Is that the Coliseum?
That's the Rose Bowl.
Oh, that's the Rose Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, that's a college stadium. But actually, USC uses it when they're not using the Coliseum.
Is it older? Is it? I've heard it's one of those.
The Rose Bowl is pretty old as well, but it's not as old as the Coliseum. But,
by the way, we're real quick. I have to say this: we're the Sun Bowl here in El Paso is the second oldest, besides the Rose Bowl. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, but I guess what I was getting at, they're getting ready to spend another $100 million on that stadium. You know what I'm saying?
Are you going to go, Mr. Davis? Can I ask you that?
What to the Olympics?
To any events and because you had to be there, right?
Well, I mean, I hate to bring it back around to blindness, but I mean. Are there going to be descriptive announcements? Right. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. I mean, I can't tell, who's coming up on the inside, coming around the last corner in a track meet kind of situation or whatever, real
fast, Mr. Davis, you're right. Because I got in the football games here and then they said, listen to the radio. You could, so I'm listening to the radio while I'm in the stadium, kind of get that descriptive. It's like 3 seconds late. Touchdown in my ear. Touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's delayed. You're always going to have that delay. So, I mean, again, extending the metro rails and stuff. I mean, these are projects that probably should have been done anyway, but they're using Olympic funding to go ahead and finish up some of these projects. I believe, uh, uh, I mean, again, LA is going. It's a madhouse. It really is. I mean, traffic and stuff is so
Traffic, oh
bad
Lord.
down there now. I mean, I can see the folks coming in, for the Olympics and stuff.
Where are they going
They,
to stay? Is there enough?
huh?
Oh, is there enough hotels to sustain all these people coming
Oh,
in?
there's plenty. There's plenty of stuff for where they can
And
stay.
now, what are they going to do with the homeless people?
Well, it's just like they go as an example. Well, I don't know about that part. I was hoping that in my research I would
They're gonna
find
bust
something
them
on
to
that.
San Bernardino. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
That's just what we need, right?
Mm.
But I mean, I know also, like as an example, I've heard rumors that in the plans that they're going to use the dorms at UCLA as and Westwood as the Olympic Village for the students.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's plenty of dorms at the college for the students and stuff like that. That need that housing. A lot of
'Cause-
folks they come up with their own or whatever. Trust and believe that there's a lot of folks that there's Airbnbs everywhere now, especially in LA,
Mhm.
Hollywood, all around those areas and
Yeah,
stuff.
talk
So
about price gouging.
you talk about price gouging, exactly.
Mhm. When I was living in Dallas, or actually Mansfield, the football stadium was what, less than 2 miles from our home, more 3 miles, and the Super Bowl was there. And there are people, Mr. Davis, renting out their apartment for like $1,500 a night.
Well,
And I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'll do that. And I'll just put, and parking lots across the street, the little slots, the little private sector, the little slots, $1,000 for the game. And
yeah,
people were paying them. People were paying them.
yeah. I mean, they do it all the time around the Coliseum, especially. They don't have enough adequate parking, so all the folks around the immediate surrounding area, man, they parking cars all up in their front yards and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So, but I mean, again, you know, all I can say is I recommend to anybody planning on visiting Los Angeles for the Olympics, man, don't even think about a rent a car. I'm telling you, do that public transportation. You're gonna have a better chance. The buses know where they're going. If you're not familiar with LA, you're gonna get caught up in the traffic. You're gonna
True.
get lost. You're gonna miss your event. I don't know. The tickets they can't be cheap. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
do your public transportation. Do that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Stay in the recommended areas. I mean, again, LA is still LA, so you don't want to just, oh, well, I'm off on an adventure. Well, that might not
You
be
don't
a
want to
good
hear
thing.
it. You don't want to hear at night. Orderly, bro. Understand? But I'm in the wrong place.
Exactly. What's up, cuz? What you doing over here? All that kind of stuff. So, but again, hey, I mean, what a thing is for me.
What's that?
Last time the Olympics was here was when I had my accident and became legally
Oh, was
blind.
it in '84?
1984.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I guess it's kind of an anniversary for me.
Right.
But anyway, well, I hope you guys enjoy the variety that we brought you today. Again, some, variety of topics, some, super serious, some, uh, again, look at where your tax money is going. I mean, even though it is Olympic money, trust and believe America is putting a lot of money into the Olympics, whether they're holding them here, whether they're holding them in Rome or wherever they hold them at.
Well,
I
not
mean,
only that, Mr. Davis, the security and all that stuff. So it's a lot of money.
There's
It
a
is.
lot of
You're
money
right.
getting put into that kind of stuff. So,
Mhm.
but anyway, on that, Britt, we got any final comments before we?
We do. We sure do. Abel Rodriguez said, hello, my LA brothers and sisters. So hello. I'm so glad we got comments this morning.
Oh,
Hey, that's
well,
impressive. We
really
have
tough.
Mr. Davis. That's impressive. We have an NCAA commentator on listening to us.
that's right.
Hey, Mr. Abel. He does NMSU football in Espanol.
I mean, Abel is a very, very dear friend of ours. So welcome, Abel. I appreciate you dropping in, my brother.
Any more
Oh, my
comments?
goodness. I'm trying to get up here to this button. I'm sorry.
No more comments. So, but Miss Britt, I'd like to. Hopefully, we'll come back and talk about because like Miss Barbara, am I saying that correctly?
Deborah.
Deborah, and I'm
She
sorry.
said it's a very important conversation, and I
Yeah,
think
that
these are conversations that we need to have as blind
yes.
people, and we need to, one thing that really bothers me about the blind community, we really need to stop judging each other, putting each other down, because we're all that we have.
Yep.
And just because something's easy for you doesn't mean that it'll be easy for me, Ed and Mr. Zavala over here are like Gensus, and I'm just learning, so they don't judge me, and I appreciate them for that.
And like you say, I'm impressed with some of my fellow brothers and sisters. Like, a friend of mine, his wife, she was cooking, and this is what I could still see. She was like, boom, 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 cutting and throwing stuff in the fryer. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, that's why I turned to my friend. I go, she totally blind? Because yeah, I'm like, she didn't even put her finger in the drink. She just spilled. So, like you said, she is just, it impressed me. And what I meant by that is, that's cool. You could live like that. You don't have to worry about, all that stuff. But anyways, that's a very good conversation.
On that
Yeah,
note, if you
totally. And
want
then Abel also said thank you. So yeah, we feel special that you're watching us. I want to thank everybody who's watched and supported and listened. It means a lot to
to,
us.
And we're coming up in a few months, folks. We'll be coming up to the year anniversary. And again, I want to say this to make sure it's on the record to Ms. Britt and Mr. Davis. And that's how I joke around with Mr. Davis. I go, you do this every freaking day. And I appreciate that. I really do because these kind of discussions, serious or fun, people need to hear that, especially the serious ones when it impacts us and the sighted world, how to understand, like, oh, okay, I didn't know that.
right.
So these kind of conversations are very important, and I'm thankful to be part of them. That you allow me to be part of them.
Well, I'm grateful to have you, my brother, as well as Brittany and Pedro and all of my team at Blind United, whether it's from my board members all the way through all my interest group leaders. There's no way in the world I can make this happen without them. So I truly, truly do appreciate them. So in closing, I want to remind everybody, come out at 2 p.m. Pacific time this afternoon and join Miss Chef Deborah Erickson as she guides you through some tips and tricks of working within the kitchen and stuff like that, and it shows you guys some different adaptive products that she may have that could help you through the various things. And then big thing for our community, I've been saying this since it landed, AI is a game changer for
Yes,
our
sir.
community, folks.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you don't know anything about it, you need to learn about it. And Miss Brittany will be showing you some more of that stuff going on at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And then for the more advanced technology folks at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we're going to have Mr. Pedro Aguilar, and he's going to come in and he's going to show you guys some more advanced stuff, and whether it be your iPhone or your iPad or whatever the case may be. So thank everybody again for coming. George, Brittany, everybody that commented. Abel, I appreciate you, my brother. Miss Deborah, see you a little bit later on this afternoon, and we are going to be out of here until tomorrow. Everybody have a great day.